Hey, what's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Alex S. Moy here, aka the Data Doctor. We are back live with another Tableau build out, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're not going to be doing a workout Wednesday, though I know you guys have been enjoying those, but we're going to be building out a calendar view, and I'm going to go and go full screen in Tableau so you can see exactly what I'm doing today over here. And I've already loaded in a data set, so I'll just kind of share what that looks like. The original data set did have the different dates parts in different columns. A little bit wonky on my data set, and I just copied it over. And it was because I was copying and pasting it from Google Sheets and something weird about copying dates over there. But it pasted it over here in three columns. I went ahead and concatenated those values and turned it into a date so that we've got all of our values from January 1st of 23 all the way to 12/31. So we've got 365 days right there. So we're going to use this to create a calendar view. And I was working on a project this past week, and one of the team members that I was talking to was talking about how they were tracking things over time throughout the week, throughout the months. And I said, why don't you guys create a calendar view and we can, put a heat map on top of it and make it really, really easy to visualize it. And you can see what it looks like in a very natural sort of way. And so we spent a little bit of time going over exactly what that would look like and how to build it out. And I'm going to walk you guys through exactly the same steps that we went through so you can do this if you have the same type of use case. So over here, I'm just clicking and dragging. I'm going to filter it to January initially so that we can work with this. And if you think about your calendar view, typically you have your days a week on top. So you've got Sunday through Saturday over there. And if you ever want to change the order of this, there is a setting for that. And of course, I'm going to tell you about it, but I'm not going to remember exactly where it is. I think it's under analysis and maybe under advanced. I don't recall, but I know that there is a way for you to modify. Maybe I think it's in the data source actually. And it's proper. No, I'm going to try one more place and see if we can figure this out. Date properties. There we go. There it is. So it's under your data source over here. You can change the day of the week and the calendar and the format and everything like that. Fiscal years. So if you have some special fiscal year starts, maybe you're a nonprofit or a government entity and you have to start in July or June or whatever it is for your calendar year or your fiscal year, you can manipulate those settings there. So luckily we were able to find that fairly quickly. The other part that you have is your week. And so, we can see week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 displayed right here. And so this gives us a view of what our month will look like. And if I right click and drag this over here, I can select day. So I've got my date part over here. Now you can see that this is starting to look like a calendar. We can drag this, make this a little bit bigger. I can manipulate the alignment to put this on the upper right. And then we can come over here and manipulate the size of this and make it a little bit smaller. And now you can see that this really looks like a calendar. We can clean this up, of course, by removing some of this weekdays and whatnot. But this is great if you want to view a single month. So we move this to the pages over here, and we can just hide missing value. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit wonky. We can put a filter there if there's no days, but we're just going to ignore that for a second. And you can see we could page through that, or you can put it back as your filter for your months over here. And we could create this as a drop down. Single value drop down. Yeah, there we go. And so you'd be able to navigate from month to month. But what if I wanted to view the entire period, right? If as soon as I remove this, you can see exactly what happens. The weeks fill down and we lose all those different months. So the first thing we have to do is actually create a calculation that's going to set the week for each month to be the same. And so we have all of our weeks denominated all the way through, um, enumerated, not denominated, enumerated all the way through to 53. And so I'm going to create a custom calculation over here, and it's just going to be week of month. And the way you do this, and hopefully I get this right the first time around, but essentially you want to find out what is the min, let's see, week of the date. And you want to subtract it by the fixed at the month part. So date part, let's see, month. And I think we actually want date trunk. Date trunk at the month. So we want that month portion of the date. And so this is helpful if you have multiple years by using that function right there. And we want the min of the date part week of date. Okay, so and then we don't need this aggregation. And I think we're going to need the date part week of the date. So for whatever date we have, we're going to subtract out the minimum week of that entire month. So for each month, we're going to get the minimum date part week. And then for each week over here, for each particular date, we're going to subtract out whatever that minimum week is. And so over here in February, for example, the min week is 5. And so on 5, we're going to subtract out 5, we're going to get 0, and it's going to push it up here, and so on and so forth. So we'll go ahead and apply that. And we will replace our weeks with that. We'll need to turn this into discrete value. We can drag it up here and replace it just like that. And so now what you'll see is everything gets squished up over here because we're not split up by all of our different months and weeks. Now, the other calculation that we need in order to split out our months is going to be a little bit of a columns and rows type calculation. So we're going to create a column calculation, and you can do this 2 different ways. So we're going to do this. I'm going to do this as columns 3. And the way I like to do this, I'd like to take the month of the date. And if you think about it, you have 1, 2, 3 going across, and then 4, 5, 6. And so what you can do is you can take that month number and you can, it's going to be a modulus function, right? So if you take mod 3, it's going to give you 1, 2, and then on 3, it's actually going to give you 0. So if I go ahead and put this in here, you'll see exactly what that looks like. I can place this over here, and you can see we've got 0, 1, 2. Now, you don't want this because now our January month is over here when it should be over here. So in order to fix this, we're going to do a little bit of a trick over here where we're going to subtract 1 from the month before we take the modulus. So what's that going to do is month 1, January, is going to be divided by 3, and it's going to give us 0, right? Because 0 divided by 3 is 0, and then February will now be 1, and March will be 2, and then so we would get everything lined up. And we could stop here, or we can also add back 1 if we wanted to. And if we added back 1, then we would get 1, 2, 3 displayed up here. And I like that because it helps me to kind of keep track of these things a little better. I like to know that we have 3 columns. So that is the calculation that I will use for my columns. Now, the other one that we're going to need is going to be our rows calculation. So for rows over here, what I like to do is I want to take, and we're actually going to do this in a dynamic fashion. So we know how many columns that we have, right? So that is up here. And so we can see that. So I want that to be part of our calculation over here. So I'm actually going to take the fixed value, which is going to be the max of col 3. And the reason I want that is now that I have that 3, I'm going to use that as part of my calculation, right? So we know going down, every 3 is going to be a new row. So we want to divide it by 3, right? And essentially we want to take the floor. So I'm going to take the same thing. I'm going to do month of our date. And similar to what we did before, I'm going to subtract 1 from this value. And so that's going to give us that same type of math. And then I want to divide it by this 3, right? And then we want to drop off any remainders. So we kind of want the part that is left over, or not left over, not the remainder, but we want to have the part that is divided by 3 wholly, and then we're going to add that 1 so that we get those nice columns that we were looking for earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this, and then we're going to go ahead and drag this back up here, and then we can put this over here. And so now you can see we've got row 1, 2, 3, 4. It splits us out, and we've got a very nice looking calendar view over here. So I'm going to go ahead and set this to fit the entire view. And you can see this looks very much like your traditional calendar, and you've got your weeks broken out and your weekdays going across. And if we wanted to come over here, we can format this so that the dates are shown as abbreviations or even the first letter. And we can align that to the center. And so that starts to look really good. We can even hide the week of the month calculated value that we created, and we can hide all these other headers. And so this works just fine, but I'm actually going to do one other thing. I'm going to duplicate this calculation over here, and we're going to modify this. So we're going to edit it over here, and I'm going to call this col 6, because in the scenario that we were looking at, and I'm not even going to rebid it, I'm just going to duplicate this over here. We actually had 6 weeks or 6 months going across and only 2 rows. And so I can duplicate this row and just change the reference in here to col 6. And did I move something? I think I've got, okay, there we go. And so now I can come over here and replace this as well. And now you can see how that lines up perfectly for that. And we're able to build out this view. And so just like that, we're able to build a calendar view. If we had some data, in here, and maybe we can just grab this and say, we'll just do week. We'll do week as a continuous value. So come down here to week continuous, and we can put this as squares. And so you can see that this calendar view, you can, if you had other numeric values, you can color this, and you can of course add your borders over here. Create some white borders, and then we can come back over here and hide all of our headers to really clean this up. Remove that. And so you can start to see all of our months laid out like that. And you can come in here and do some additional formatting. But that's essentially how you build your calendar chart. And, there's other ways of coming in here, manipulating it, and then adding your headers for each section. You can absolutely do that for each month. We are not going to do all of those different things and steps today, but that is my time for today. Hopefully this has been something helpful. If you've never built a calendar chart, this is certainly how you do it. And I just wanted to walk you guys through exactly step by step how to build this out. There's a lot of different use cases and flexibility for using this in visualization, heat maps, and such. So hope you guys enjoyed this, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Follow for more content like this each week as you are studying and learning Tableau to advance your analytics career. So hope to catch you guys next time. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, and what you want to see more of.